Hi there, and welcome to Small Group Events 101. If you have no idea what a small group event is, it may be because your church or ministry doesn't do small group events. But at Relevant Student Ministries, one of the things that we implemented was something called swing months. These were about 4 months out of the year that as a corporate ministry, as the entire youth ministry, we don't do any events. So for example, this year is February, May, July, and October. It's 4 months, one in each season, that we don't do any events as an entire youth ministry. And so we gave each of our small groups an opportunity to run an event themselves. We each gave them a budget that they were able to use to pay for themselves or to help them pay for the entire group. So our small groups, whether they have 1 or 2 students in them, or whether they have 14 or 15 middle schoolers in them, we have the opportunity for them to be able to go out and give them some time to plan and execute an event. One of the things that's come up is really, what event should I be doing? And that really does matter a lot more on what your group, specific small group, is like. The real goal in the heart behind small group events was that although our ministry is large in comparison to a lot of youth ministries, we wanted kids to be able to have a small youth ministry feel. We wanted them to be able to get the experience that you would have being involved in a small ministry or a smaller youth group. And so I can give you some ideas about what some of the small group events our leaders have already done, and also some ideas that I've had about things that I think would be a good thing to do. Just some tips for things that you also should be looking out for. First off, some of the events that our leaders have already done. I know one of our junior high small groups has gathered together for an overnighter. They had a chance to go bowling with their youth leader and spend the night over at their house. A rather awesome, but a little bit of a adventurous endeavor to have a bunch of middle schoolers over to your home for the entire night, but a really great idea to be able to connect with your small group in a unique way outside of youth group. Oftentimes, late night conversations have the ability to get kids to open up more about what they believe and where they've been than any other type of conversation. On top of that, we've had groups who've just gone out to do fun things. So we have one group who decided to be evangelistic in the way that they did it. So all of our middle school boys began to get together and have kickball nights at our church. It was a great opportunity for students who maybe they didn't want to invite a friend to youth group or didn't want to invite a friend to come on a retreat or one of our bigger events. It gave them the opportunity to get one of their friends or some of their friends involved in just coming out to play dodgeball, and then being invited to come back and join us for youth group that following Tuesday night. So maybe there's a sport that you're interested in that the bulk of your student base is also interested in, and you can get them together to do something like that. We've had some of our groups be able just to take kids out to a movie. I know some of them went to see Avengers. I know we did Hoovie at our church not long ago, and 2 of our small groups, one from senior high, one from junior high, came out and paid for their kids to be able to come out and see Hoovie together. Some of our groups have done something just as simple as getting the members of their team together, their small group together, and going out and getting ice cream or going out and getting pizza. My wife this weekend actually is going to be having her small group over, and the girls are going to come over to our house and just watch a movie together and get a chance to have community with one another. The point of the small group events is basically to cultivate community. And you can cultivate community through discipleship, you can cultivate community through some evangelistic stuff, or just through fun events. I know one of our girls' groups actually went to Sky Zone not long ago and just got the opportunity just to enjoy the girls from their group and be able to have conversations on the way there and back. Some tips and things to know as you're beginning to think about and plan. First off, plan something that's weather appropriate. I took my small group from 9th grade paintballing, which, to be honest, was awesome. But what I didn't realize was there was still snow all over the ground in the place that we were going because we had to go up north. It made that day a little miserable for a couple of our students who just wore tennis shoes, and honestly, for me as well, who also just wore tennis shoes. And paintballs hurt a lot worse. So just keep an eye on the weather. Make sure you're doing something that's weather appropriate. You don't want to go swimming in May because you might have a freezing cold day, but you might have a pool party at your house in the middle of July, for example. Another thing to keep your eye out for is look at what interests your students. This isn't an event for you. This is an event for your students inside of your small group. And so you might be somebody who really loves football, and you think it would be an awesome thing to have all the kids come over for a football party in the fall. So in October, you have all the kids over for the football game. But all of your kids hate football and love video games. And you don't know how to play video games, but it might be more reasonable to do something with them something that they're interested in, rather than doing something that simply you're interested in. So keep an eye on what actually interests your kids. During your conversations with them in small groups, oftentimes when small group isn't going well, they'll bring up some things that they're interested in. And oftentimes a small group will congregate around one or two activities that most of them share. You also might need to divide your group and to do an event that's kind of twofold, two different things. Because sometimes kids are interested in multiple things, or sometimes half your small group are nerds and half your small group are really into sports, and you need to be able to divide that and do two different things, either on the same night or on two separate nights. Another good thing to know about it is this: if you have to take your kids somewhere, so let's say your students are going to be showing up at the church at 5 o'clock p.m. and you guys are going to be going to play laser tag together. You're putting them all in the church van, we've got you on the insurance, and you're going to be driving them out. Something to be aware of is if you have to drive your kids somewhere, we need to be able to have a permission slip for your students. You can't just pack a bunch of kids inside your car and say, let's have at it. There are a couple things that we need to have in place. So when you go to get approval for an event from either me or from Alex, in our ministry, Alex and I are the directors, just be aware of the fact that you're going to probably be asked to have your kids get a permission slip signed by their parents, and that includes health insurance information and all of those things. Also, just keep aware of the fact that if you're doing something that could be dangerous, you should know where the local hospital is. For example, when we went out and played paintball, we played it up at a local camp. And when we played at that camp, I knew where the closest hospital had been because we had done retreats at that camp and had, unfortunately, had to send a couple kids to the hospital on retreats before who had gotten hurt while being there. And so it's good to know where your local hospital is in case you're doing something that could be dangerous or a kid could potentially be hurt on. I'm not encouraging you to go and do overly dangerous events. In fact, if you decide that you're going to take your kids out in your backyard and shoot fireworks from your hands, we're going to tell you that's a really bad idea and you can't do that event. But if you tell me that you were going to take your kids out to maybe go out and airsoft at the local airsoft place down in Pittsburgh, then we would be okay with that. But just be aware, if somebody gets hurt, you're responsible for it that day. I can't drop everything that I'm doing, nor can Alex drop everything that he's doing to run out and rescue you with your students. So if you're doing something that's going to be dangerous, be aware of where the hospital is. Also, have adequate leadership. This might be an opportunity for you to partner with another small group. You shouldn't be alone with your students. You should have somebody else come with you and be with you during your event. And whether that's me or Alex or another one of our youth leaders, you should try to do your event with at least 2 leaders there. And you should try, really, never drive a student home by yourself. Have them meet in one central location and have them picked up from one central location. Please don't just go out to houses and pick up all of your kids. Have them meet in one central location, get in a car, drop them off to a central location, have them get picked up from that location. As you're coming up with other ideas for things that your small group might be interested in, please feel free to run them by me or Alex. And also, one last thing is look at the felt needs of your group. Your group may really benefit from a fun event, but other groups may really benefit from a weekly Bible study for a couple of weeks, or they may really benefit just the chance to come over to your house. I know one of our leaders has taught her students how to bake, and that's been really beneficial for them, especially some of our students who come from homes where mom isn't really in the picture. Being able to come over to a leader's house and be taught how to bake by an adult woman is really a thing that they cherish and they will remember. So as you're planning your small group event, remember some of these things. Know where the local hospital is. Make sure that you're planning an event that your kids would actually enjoy. Be sure that if you are going to be going off campus and you are going to be driving your students, that you seek permission from me or from Alex and that you've got the proper permission slip and forms in place before you decide to just take your kids. Remember to meet at a centralized location, and when you drop them off in a centralized location so that you're not driving students home one-on-one. If you have any other questions, please feel free. You can email me or ask me. And if you're a youth pastor and maybe you're curious about what it looks like to have your small groups actually run events, please feel free to contact me at mark@newlifexn.org. And I would love to talk with you about how we implemented this system with swing months and with small groups led by our small group leaders and our youth leaders. And I would love to talk to you about what some of the potential hazards and pitfalls are with this approach, and also what some of the awesome things that have been going on, because our leaders are running events. They're the ministers. They're doing stuff. Oh my, it's just been really tremendous and amazing to watch God work through these swing months and through these small group events. So once again, if you're a youth pastor, you have some questions about how we've done this, or you would like to maybe seek out how to implement it where you're at, just please feel free to contact me, and I'd love to chat with you about that. It's great to be here with you guys for this edition of Small Groups 101. I look forward to seeing you in some of our other videos about how to run effective small groups.